Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is Northwest Brew Talk. Welcome to Northwest Brew Talk, the #1 podcast on Washington beer. Brought to you by Micro Homebrew, located in Kenmore. This is episode number 78. Each and every week, we promote the Washington brewing industry by talking to those people involved and drinking Washington beer. If you like Washington beer, learn about the people behind it here on our show. This week on the Micro Homebrew interview, we talk with Riverport Brewing. We also have our brew news and local music from Glaciers on the Moon. With over 300 breweries, we try to highlight as many as possible every episode. If you're new to the show, we suggest you check out our back catalog with some great interviews and lots of Washington beer.
If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email, nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, share our link and tell your friends on social media. It takes just a few to start a revolution. Tonight we get to thank Harmon Brewing Company for our first beer. They're located in Tacoma and actually have 4 locations in Tacoma and Gig Harbor. Their restaurants are family friendly. We're drinking their Mt Takhoma Blonde Ale. It's a light-bodied, crisp, and refreshing brew. German Pilsner malt and a touch of white wheat are also used to produce this ale. Liberty hops provide the balance. This beer finishes crisp and dry. 4.4% ABV, 18 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 3.33.
Super light color. Looks like
Definitely.
what you'd see from a mega beer. But I'm guessing that it's not going to taste anything like it.
I would guess just by the smell alone, it's not going to taste anything like mega beer.
Oh, yeah. Tons of malt flavor in there.
Or the name alone, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But it's got...
Oh, wow. Very strong. And you can taste that wheat, too.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a good beer.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I could see this being one of those transition beers to get somebody to try.
Absolutely. Someone comes in here. We
beer.
talk to the brewers a lot about what they would recommend if somebody comes in. And it's tough sometimes. You know, you can't do those IPAs. They're way too strong. It's going to turn people off. This is one of those beers. A blonde ale is usually what you could probably go for. If you make it, that's what you could send people towards. This is really good.
Yeah, definitely. Very light, easy to drink.
Lots of flavor, though.
Tons of flavor. And that's what... You know, somebody's gonna try one of those, and they're gonna be like, "Well, that's pretty good."
Beer actually tastes good.
Exactly. Awesome. Nice beer
Very
from Harmon.
Thank you very much.
All right, and now on to our brew news.
Topping this week's news, this weekend, August 12th through the 14th, is the Vancouver Brew Fest. Held at Esther Short Park in downtown Vancouver, Washington, there are 48 breweries serving 2 beers each for almost 100 different beers. There will also be ciders, wine, and mead. The event is adult only, $30 for one day or $37 for both days. That's quite a deal. There are some fun events, food vendors, and more. Disabled American veterans get in free, and the event raises money for 2 veteran groups and a companion animal organization. This weekend is also the Spokane Brewers Festival. This is an all-ages event, when accompanied by an adult, of course. There will be 35 breweries and cideries, live music, and food. Entrance is $7, and each token is only $1. Tastings are just 1 token, and a full stein is 5 tokens. There is also a root beer garden for those not interested in beer or those under the age of 21. Visit SpokaneBeerFestival.com.
There are always anniversaries and parties, and we try to catch them all. Ten Pin Brewing in Moses Lake is celebrating their 3rd anniversary this Friday, August 12th. It's 21 and older, featuring new menu items, beer specials, and live DJ music. Celebrating 4 years this past weekend was Outlander Brewing in Seattle. Their funky location in a former house hasn't allowed them the opportunity to stockpile enough beer for a big party until this year. We hope it was a great party, and congrats. According to the Union Bulletin, Burwood Brewing in Walla Walla is looking to expand just 2 years after opening. They currently operate in a 1,600 square foot building and are looking to expand to 6,000 square feet. They want to stay near their current location, but a new building would be needed. We'll keep our eyes on this as it develops. We love, lists, Men's Journal recently listed the 50 best beer stores in America. To compile the list, they considered stores with a lot of craft beer. Then they looked at selection, service, events, outreach, and even how the beer is stored, cold and out of UV light. The Beer Junction in West Seattle took the title for Washington. According to the magazine, because they have 50 taps, are locally focused, and have 39 coolers containing 1,200 beers and 300 ciders. Congrats to the Beer Junction.
The News Tribune reports that Seven Seas Brewing of Gig Harbor opened their new Tacoma brewery and taproom today. They're located in what was once part of Heidelberg Brewing and is expected to finally be able to keep up with demand. Producing 8,000 barrels in 2015, the new facility will be able to produce 80 to 100,000 barrels. The restaurant aspect will be run by Tacoma restaurateurs, and later this year, a coffee roastery will be opened in the building. Flying Bike Cooperative Brewery in Seattle is celebrating their first anniversary with a week-long list of events. Starting on Monday, August 15th, they will have cake, trivia, special releases, guest taps, a bottle release, with a big party on Saturday the 20th. Finally, on Sunday, they will end the party with a fun run and Kill the Kegs event. Another new brewery has opened its doors. Four Horsemen Brewery in Kent opened its doors this past weekend with events and giveaways and what they say is the best Washington malt beer. We'll have to pay them a visit and see for ourselves. Congratulations to them. 12 String Brewing in Spokane now has bottled beer available in stores. 4 local shops are carrying the beer, so check it out if you're in the area.
This Saturday, August 13th, is the 14th annual Brewfest on the Skagit in Mount Vernon. At least 14 breweries, dozens of beers, food vendors, and live music. The adults-only event benefits the Lincoln Theater and runs from 4 to 9 p.m. on Skagit Riverwalk. The 4th annual Everett Craft Beer Festival takes place on Saturday, August 20th from noon to 7 p.m. on Hoyt Avenue. 34 breweries will be pouring over 100 beers. This adults-only event costs $20 in advance or $25 at the door. Visit brownpapertickets.com to get yours today. And lastly, this week, Skagit Valley College's Craft Brewing Academy has finished its very first session, and the result of their work has been the release of 3 new beers. Empire Ale House in Mount Vernon is carrying the 3, a ginger ale, a berry ale, and a black ale. Congrats to the grads, and good luck in the future.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. If you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and Google Play Music.
On this week's Micro Homebrew interview, we're talking to Pete from Riverport Brewing in Clarkston. All right, we're talking with Pete from Riverport Brewing. How's it going?
Good. Going really good.
Awesome. So, how did you get started in the brewing business?
The brewing business, I started homebrewing in like 1984 when I was at college at the University of Idaho. And I started because making beer seemed to be the cheaper alternative. Little did I know. And then I really picked up on the homebrewing side of it. I started brewing, I started doing all grain, started doing 10-gallon batches. I was brewing every week, and I had all kinds of friends coming around to the garage telling me I should go into business and sell it. And, of course, if you're giving your friends free beer, what are they going to tell you?
Exactly, yeah.
So I didn't really know, I started sending beer off to competitions. I sent a couple beers off and won some medals, and so we finally decided in 2008, we decided to pull the trigger and start a brewery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long were you brewing before you got into the all grain?
I probably brewed for about 12 or 13 years with extracts and partial mashes, and then got into the all grain brewing. So.
And so during that time, were you working on like different recipes, playing with other things, for the beer?
Yeah, I was, it was, I look at my notes now, I got a copy of Charlie Papazian's book, and my note-taking was was horrible then. What I used to do is cut the label off the can. I'd write on the back of the label what else I did with it and kind of my process. Fold it in half and I stuck it in my book, and the book just got thicker and thicker and thicker. Finally, I decided to start keeping a notebook, and I was developing recipes, but I was more experimental at that time. You know, having a brewery now, your hands are kind of tied because you get certain styles and brands that are selling, and you have to kind of continue to make those.
Right. So, at your brewery, what sells?
Our biggest seller is a beer, an amber ale that we make called Riverport Red. We're in Eastern Washington, and Eastern Washington, I don't mean to insult anybody, but it's kind of, when we opened there, it was kind of a beer wasteland. There was not a whole lot of craft beer going on there.
Right.
And so when we opened, we had to try to target those people that were drinking Keystone Light and get something that wasn't real offensive to them, or I say offensive, but nothing real aggressive hop wise or alcohol wise. And so I developed one called Blonde Moment, which we still make today, and then the Riverport Red, which those two are two of our biggest sellers. Nice.
So those are your gateway.
Those are the gateway beers, exactly. And now that we've, I tell a story all the time of one of our regulars that comes in the tasting room. When he first started coming in, he was drinking blonde, and he would bring his own clamato juice in with him to mix with it. And now he's drinking our biggest IPA we have, and he's one of our best customers. So it doesn't take long for him to get past that gateway.
Yeah, definitely. It's just getting them to try something that isn't a watered down fizzy beer.
Exactly. Yeah. You just got to get them to try something once in a while.
Yeah. So is Eastern Washington coming around? Is it?
Absolutely. When we opened in 2008, there were, I think, maybe 4 or 5 breweries in Spokane, which is about 100 miles north of us, and there was nothing around us at all. And now we've got, we're in Clarkston, which is kind of the extreme southeast corner of the state. Pullman's got a brewery. Moscow, Idaho's got. They're opening up 2 more. They have one. They've had one for quite a while. 2 more are opening here in the next month or so. Spokane has exploded. There's 20 or so breweries there. Yeah. So it's really, and I noticed, since we opened, a lot of the restaurants and bars in the neighborhood, or in Lewiston, Idaho, and Clarkston, Washington, have expanded from 10 taps to 20 taps, and there's a lot more of a craft beer scene there. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're looking to do a new beer. Since you probably brewed hundreds over the years, but do you go back to old recipes, or do you just start, looking at what somebody else is doing to figure out what you might want?
Yeah, a combination of the two. The first thing I do is go back and look at my homebrew notes, and if it's a beer that stands out that I remember making when I was a homebrewer, then I'll look for those notes. More often than not, I'll never, like, for instance, we have a beer we make called a Bedrock Bock, which is a traditional German Bock, about 8%. And I had never made a Bock as a home brewer that I really cared for. They always fell short. So when we did it at the brewery, I just kind of did a lot of research and put together a recipe and just kind of said, heck with it, I'm going to throw it all in there and see what happens. And it was a huge leap of faith, and I question myself now, like, wow, that was a lot of grain to throw away if it didn't turn out. But that was the first beer we ever had that medaled.
Oh, really?
And we won a silver medal with that at the Washington Beer Awards 2 years ago.
Nice. Yeah. And that's interesting. There's not a ton of Bocks. There's a lot of German beers, but Bock is one you don't hear too much. Yeah,
that's true. And and if you do see a Bock, it's usually a Maibock or something on the lighter variety. Yeah. And this is a true it's a traditional German Bock that's it's a full 8% alcohol, and it's a big beer.
Nice.
But it's very well received. We get a lot of people that really like the Bock.
So do you get a lot of tourists in your area?
Yeah, we do. We're right at the Lewiston-Clarkston sets right at the confluence of the Clearwater and Snake Rivers. We get a lot of fishermen that come through for steelhead and salmon fishing. We're at the mouth of Hell's Canyon. There's a lot of jet boat tours that leave there. There's cruise ships that come from Portland. We're the furthest inland seaport in the United States. I think it's 465 miles from the port of Lewiston to the mouth of the ocean. So we get a lot of the tour boats come in and bring a lot of people. A lot of people come through there on their way camping or doing things. So.
All right, cool. Yeah. So is that a lot of your business, or is the local community pretty big?
I would say the local community is a huge part of it. It's fun because I work at the I brew. I'm at the brewery every day. I brew 3 to 4 days a week, and I work the tasting room some days. It's fun to see on Saturdays the crowd change. We got our regulars that come in and people that you recognize that have been in there before, and then on Saturdays it's like the place fills up and empties out 6 or 8 times with people that I've never seen before. Which is kind of fun. And you get to meet new people and visit with folks that are traveling across the country.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like this festival on Friday is completely different than the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and today is amazing to me. Of course, the weather's great. Yesterday, you sat through the downpour too, I'm sure.
Yes. But it's funny just to see the difference in the crowd. You probably get a lot of people after work, but they're also completely different type of drinkers. It's funny.
Oh yeah. Definitely different. It's a completely different vibe. Of course, we have the kids that are here today, which is today and yesterday both. But it's just I love this festival. We've done a lot of different beer festivals, and this is my favorite by far.
Yeah. So what's selling or doing well at your booth today?
Today we have our the one that we're probably pouring the most of is our 5.5 pepper beer. Which is a pale ale infused with jalapeno and serrano peppers. Not really hot. We brewed it to concentrate on the aroma and the flavor of the peppers as opposed to the heat. There's some pepper beers around here that will knock your socks off.
Yeah, there was one I tried.
and oftentimes that's the case with pepper beers. I like peppers a lot. I don't really like the extreme heat, and I hate when I drink something that blows my palate for about 5 beers. And that's what happens with a lot of those pepper beers. And that's what we're trying to stay away from. That one's doing really well. We medaled with our sour, with our barrel-aged sour blonde. And that's what I'm drinking now. And it's going over really well. People are kind of seeking out the sour.
That and Goza seem to be the big things that are growing lately. So what determines when you're going to brew something different?
I've got 6 beers that I do year round, and I just try to I do my best to keep those on tap year round. I have 5 rotating taps. Originally, it was going to be 4 year round beers and 2 rotating taps, and then first time I tried to take the Bach off tap, I had a mutiny. So the 5 beers, I've kind of got a seasonal rotation going, and I just kind of. I do it I do a spiced winter ale that, of course, obviously I do around Thanksgiving time. I've got our Hefeweizen is a seasonal that we bring out in the beginning of the spring or the end of the spring. I got a rye beer that I make that's a summer pale ale. It just kind of I've kind of laid out a schedule, and the beers that I brew. And we do an Oktoberfest in the fall, for example. I try to match them up with the season that they're more appropriate to.
Nice. So is a sour something that you personally liked and you wanted to try, or have you done them in the past?
Yeah, I'd never done one before. And actually, one of the homebrewers, we got a really active homebrew club there in the valley, the Wizards of Ale. And Kyle Schmidt he headed up that, and he's the one that swayed me towards sours. He's a real proponent of sours and different techniques of making them. And he's the one that I actually got to give him a lot of credit for this, because he coached me along the way and helped me out and told me, got me onto different techniques and things like that. So and sour beers I was kind of slow to adapt to. I got to be honest. The first time I had one,
tastes like a bad beer.
Yeah, so I've made beers like this before that I've thrown away as a homebrewer, and I swear I did. But you come to appreciate them after a while. And in fact, we went to Belgium last fall. My wife and I made a trip to Oktoberfest in Munich, and we went up to Belgium, to Brussels, and went and visited Cantillon, and went in there, went through their brewery and tasted all their sours. And these are real traditional. This is kind of where it all originated. And it was fun to do that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, what medal did you get for this?
This got a silver medal in the barrel-aged sour beer category.
Oh, nice.
So then we got the other beer that we had that medaled was our black IPA, which unfortunately we didn't bring. We got a gold medal for that.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah.
Congrats.
Nice. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's probably something you didn't expect it to get a gold medal.
No, I didn't. It's our black IPA. It's and again, Kyle helped me develop this recipe years ago as a home brewer. And in fact, the first one we did, he was my assistant brewer at the time.
Okay. And
we did that. I think it was 4 years ago, and it's called Bambalam. We like I said, we did it like 4 or 5 years ago, and then it kind of went away for a while. And I had a lot of people asking for it, and I'd done some other things that I wanted to squeeze in, and there just wasn't room for it. Went ahead and brewed it again this year, and then on a whim, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and enter it in, and we got a gold medal for it. So that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So brewing since the 80s.
Yeah.
But you're taking advice from another home brewer, and you're a professional. So is that like the community, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And people say, well, I'm just a home brewer, and no, you're not just a home brewer. You're a brewer or you're not a brewer, and you're either a home brewer or you're a professional brewer, but you're a brewer, and there are varying degrees in every sector. There are some professional brewers that I wouldn't take advice from, and there's a lot of home brewers that I think are brewing a lot better beer than professional brewers are.
Yeah.
So, and Kyle's one of those kids.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that he was probably born about the time I started brewing.
Yeah.
But he really took to it. He's one of these guys that just throws himself into it, and I got no problem. If he can show me a better way of doing something, mm-hmm. or introduce me to a style of beer that I'm not familiar with or don't really care for. And Kyle volunteered to work for me at the brewery for free for a while, and then I hired him, and he worked for a while there, and we're still great friends to this day. And the homebrew club meets at the brewery all the time and shares ideas, and there's some really good brewers there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is the future holding for Riverport?
We're kind of at a point right now. We had tremendous growth the first 4 or 5 years. The last couple years, it's kind of leveled off, and I'm kind of at a comfortable level for me right now. If I get much bigger, I'm going to have to buy a lot more equipment, hire some more people, and at that point, I got to weigh. At what point does it become a job?
Yeah.
I really enjoy this, and it's still. I brew it. I get up at 4 in the morning, get into the brewery about 4:30. It's kind of my zen spot. The brew house suits me really well. It's a place where I've got solitude, and I get to think, and I get to, I don't know. It's I don't want to get a whole lot bigger than we are. We're at about 1,000 barrels a year right now.
Okay.
And that's comfortable for me. I got a 7-barrel system, brewing into 4 15-barrel fermenters, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you distribute?
We're distributed in Idaho and in Washington through the local Budweiser distributors.
Okay.
King Beverage in Washington and Centennial in Idaho.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Just kegs?
Yes, just draft only.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, sounds great. Well, Pete, thanks very much for dropping by today.
You bet. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Same here. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks to Pete from Riverport and Clarkston for joining us today.
If you are a home brewer looking for a great shop to buy your homebrew ingredients and equipment, why don't you check out Micro Homebrew in Kenmore? Tony and his staff are always happy to help a new or experienced homebrewer find what they need. At Micro Homebrew, they're proud to carry over 100 hop varieties. Visit them today at 17511 68th Avenue Northeast in Kenmore, or find them on Facebook at Micro Homebrew. When you stop in, make sure you tell them that you heard about them on Northwest Brew Talk.
All right, we'll be right back after a local music break from Glaciers on the Moon.
That was Nightscape by Glaciers on the Moon. You can check them out at glaciersonthemoon.bandcamp.com. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today.
Hi, I'm Mike Rizzo, author of Washington Beer, a heady history of Evergreen State Brewing. The history of brewing in Washington dates back to when the area was just a territory. My new book, Washington Beer, tries to cover everything from the 19th century to modern days. American Craft Beer said, quote, author Michael F. Rizzo does the considerable legwork for us in Washington Beer, unquote. Through dozens of photos and detailed notes, the history slowly evolves. WA List said, quote, Michael Rizzo takes the name a Washington Beer game to a whole other level, unquote. From Prohibition to the modern craft beer movement, over 300 brewery histories are explored. One of craft beer's pioneers, Mari Kemper from Chuckanup Brewery, said, quote, he's done a noble job of trying to reconstruct the industry's history from oral stories and bits and pieces of written documentation. A great read for anyone interested in finding out how the beer industry developed in Washington State, unquote. From Arcadia Publishing, the book features a 16-page color insert and costs $21.99. You can pick up a copy at your local bookstore, online, in ebook format, or directly from me, autographed. Get your copy today. Upcoming events for Washington Beer include this Saturday, August 14th. We're going to be in Vancouver at Lewitt Brewing doing a talk and a signing with Vintage Books. If you buy a pint, we'll take $2 off the price of the book.
Our second beer this evening is from Icicle Brewing, located in Leavenworth. They are open 7 days a week and are all ages until 10 p.m. You can check out our interview with them on episode 76. We're drinking their Dirtyface Amber. Finally, a beer that pays homage to the hard workers in our valley, the trail crews and farmers, the lumberjacks and firefighters. We brew this for you. With these folks in mind, we've created an amber lager that features a smooth, medium body with a rich toasted malt aroma. Dirtyface's initial malty sweetness finishes fresh and clean. Unlike its name, no need to wash up, just wash down. 5% ABV, 21 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 3.49.
All right, and we picked this up. We'll tell you about our little trip over the mountains to eastern Washington. But yes, we picked this up on the other side of the mountains where it's not too easy to get some of these beers.
Over here, it's not too easy to get.
Correct. Oh, yeah. Taste that. That is definitely different.
Different.
It's a different.
It does not taste dirty.
It doesn't taste dirty. No.
No, it's very good. I like it a lot. Real malty.
Yeah. What is that flavor?
I'm the wrong person to ask
it
that question.
Almost tastes like molasses.
Yeah, I could taste a little molasses in there, maybe. Yeah.
Something. But yeah, that's a different flavor. I want to say definitely and different at the same time, so I keep saying different. It's a different flavor. But yeah, it's not your typical beer.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah, I'd love to find that.
Exactly. Icicle, nice job. So, this past weekend we took a trip. We were down in Spokane. Visited a total of 6 breweries on our 5-day weekend.
Was it 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
6
did go.
breweries.
We did a lot of brewery visiting, huh?
I think we had 4 in Spokane alone.
Is my memory just that bad that I'm not remembering them all?
Yeah, no. It was
a fast week. It went by way too quick.
Yes, exactly. And we Black Label and Iron Goat hosted our events, which was very nice. That's okay. Okay, so then our first stop was at Perry Street Brewing. Then we went to No-Li, and we did an interview there that'll come up. Tasted some beer. Then we did the Black Label. Then we visited with, the next day was River City and Iron Goat. And we rounded it out with a trip to Winthrop, where we stopped at where? Old Schoolhouse. And that was 5 or 6 breweries there. Every one of them was family friendly.
Yes.
Every one of them went to.
They were all
there were 1 or 2 that we were going to go to that were not family friendly, so we couldn't stop in there.
Yep, but it was a nice little family trip. So.
Yeah, but it was good. It was cool to try, and we hit one. We were able to hit one bottle shop and pick up a bunch of beers from Eastern Washington. So
yeah, it was. There definitely aren't as many bottle shops over there as I mean small bottle shops.
Yeah, it's
there aren't nearly as many there as I would have thought. We did the one we went to.
It was Sunday.
That we had found was closed because it was Sunday, and they were closed. Yes, on Sundays. But you know it's a different area. You know, it's not like here where there's breweries for one neighborhood has 12 breweries.
Exactly, but you know what? The beer was good. There was good beer. We tried different beers at all of the places, and there was good beer. And we got a nice at Old Schoolhouse. We got a little tour of their brewing facility, and we actually Kyle, their head brewer, gave us a sample of an IPA that wasn't out yet. I believe it was released yesterday, but it wasn't out at the time.
Yeah, it was good too. It was good. Yep, and. Yeah, like you said, nice little interesting place at the Old Schoolhouse when you walk through it. It's, it's pretty cool. If anybody's ever been to Winthrop, then you know it's a small little town with all their old buildings, and you go through and they've definitely adapted their brewery to the building. Yeah,
definitely. But very cool. And it was a good little trip. So
very nice.
And we're gonna be in Vancouver this weekend, and we're gonna hit some breweries while we're down there too.
Yeah, exciting. Can't wait.
All right.
I want you to get me fresh beer. You serious? Now!
And that brings us to this week's Indie Spotlight beer release from No-Li Brewhouse, located in Spokane. Switch Hitter Golden Ale debuts in a signature 22-ounce bottle. Only 100 cases of this limited release collaboration brew were created. This smooth golden ale starts with a mild malt, toast, and biscuit flavors. A small addition of Cascade hops provides pleasant floral and citrus notes that leads to a refreshing finish. Easy drinking is the name of the game. Switch Hitter was inspired by a collaboration with the Spokane Indians Baseball Club, a single-A Texas Rangers affiliate. 5% ABV, 15 IBUs, and an untapped rating of 3.54.
Okay, and you know what that means? That brings us to the end of this episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
Make sure you tune in next week when we chat with 12 String Brewing.
Thanks to our sponsor, Micro Homebrew. This show is written and produced by Michelle Rizzo and myself.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at nwbrewtalk@gmail.com or contact us on Twitter at nwbrewtalk. Our theme music is from Gilbert Neal. You can check him out at gilbertneal.com.
Until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay hoppy, my friends.
It takes just a few to start a revolution. It takes just a few to start a revolution. It takes just a few to...
He just wants to talk with us. That's what it is.